As we all know, the Nintendo Switch has been on the horizon since before it even had an official name, and ever since, speculation has been ripe, covering every topic from games to technical specs all the way to how it will look. Obviously recently we've had more than a few reveals at various gaming shows.
Controllers are very important when it comes to video games, right?
So after taking a long look at what we know for certain and what we don't, I'm here to tell you the things that it's doing and that it's done right, and the things that it maybe hasn't done right. Number 1 is form and functionality. From a design and inclusive perspective, Nintendo have covered almost every possible basis in bridging the gap between handheld and console gaming with the Switch. The first step came with the Wii U with its second screen approach, offering innovative evolutions into our idea of gaming as it does stand today. With the Switch, Nintendo have taken a gigantic step into securing the first major piece of monopoly in a market that, if you ask my opinion, is probably where gaming is headed anyway. With its quick and smooth transition between being a docked home entertainment system and a handheld gaming tablet, the horizons have obviously, yet again, been broadened by Nintendo's brave approach to design. Its multiple iterations and controller layouts offer an unprecedented level of flexibility, and depending on your preferences, they even go so far as to offer a Pro controller which is more akin to those that Sony and Microsoft offer in their PS4 and Xbox One controllers. Overall, from what I've seen, I really don't think Nintendo could have improved on what they're offering right now in form factor, core design principle, and, I mean, seeing Skyrim being played on a device this small is really quite astounding, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out. Number 2 is obviously Zelda. I didn't want to leave this down the list, as it's a well-known fact that ever since the first gameplay was shown, and it was confirmed as a release title thankfully, Zelda Breath of the Wild has encapsulated most of the gamers across the world. Its gorgeous cel-shaded look to its crisp colours and beautiful landscapes are but a few of the factors drawing people in. I have never played a Zelda game before, and even I'm hyped to play the damn thing. If there was one thing that Wii U definitely missed out upon launch, it was a new Zelda game. Fortunately, this time around Nintendo knew exactly what they were doing and seemed to have produced a genuinely fresh take on such a classic franchise, offering crafting, exploration, open world, and lots of Link, which is kind of the important part. Essentially, I'm excited about it, and you definitely should be too. Technical shenanigans. Now before I start, I'd like to let you know that I'm not exactly a font of knowledge where technical details are concerned, so if a lot of this stuff that I'm obviously not quoting from a third-party news website comes across in a slightly monotone voice, then I don't apologise at all, because I've already given you pre-warning. The first thing to note is the confirmed Nvidia GPU on the inside. For comparison, Sony and Microsoft utilise AMD GPUs inside their respective consoles. Nvidia obviously have a great pedigree where graphics cards are concerned, and have a better history of heat management compared to AMD. Heat management is extra important with the Switch because of the handheld function. If it gets too hot, you're not going to want to hold it, and that completely ruins the entire idea of having a mobile gaming device. If something gets too hot, it's uncomfortable and unsafe, quite frankly. AMD do have a reputation for having generally hotter cards, so in the PS4 and Xbox One it doesn't matter because they've got more space for fans and cooling units, so it's fine all there. Unfortunately, we haven't had any heat dispersal or temperature details released about the Switch yet, and I can only imagine, since the release date is confirmed to be March the 3rd, that we will get some more technical details soon, and then I'll be able to do another video. Now originally, the speculations were that due to the release date, the Tegra X2 would be implemented into the Switch, but unfortunately they did stick with the Tegra X1, I'm assuming because the amount of time and money they spent making sure that it was optimized for the Tegra X1. Unfortunately, the Tegra X2 would have allowed complete Pascal architecture, which would have theoretically meant better battery life and better performance probably. But to be fair, the X1 does still use some of the Pascal architecture and is still one of the best mobile GPUs on the market currently, especially out of the ones offered by Nvidia. So it probably won't be anywhere near as bad or as much of a shortfall as many of the websites and news sites may be making out. Next up is the screen. This also comes under technical shenanigans, so don't get confused. I do think this is a success for the most part. It's been confirmed that the mobile screen is a 720p 6.2 inch screen, not 1080. But it is fully touchscreen and it does use a capacitive and multi-touch screen. Now at the time of writing, I haven't been able to locate information on the exact type of screen, whether it's going to be LCD or LED, and whether it's IPS or TN. I think it's a safe guess that it's going to be an IPS LED screen, as it offers superior colour accuracy and better viewing angles across the board, so a TN screen would be a massive disappointment. When docked, it switches up to 1080p to match the TV, so that's great and kind of what we expected. There are large differences between docked and undocked performance. Undocked, your overall performance is going to be about 40% of the docked performance. So think half. Think half and then take away what it needs to actually run on battery power, and then you're sitting at 40%, so it could be worse. There is a bunch of other interesting technical stuff about the controllers and the docking station, like ports. I think it uses a HDMI 1.4 instead of a HDMI 2.0, which is an odd decision. It's got a few USB sockets, it's got some micro SD sockets for expanding the 32GB inbuilt memory. The major highlights though are these: HD Rumble, which is built into the Joy-Cons, not the tablet, so don't get confused. It's supposed to enhance gameplay elements that might include rumble situations. The example they used in the show being ice cubes rattling in a glass and then he got cold or something. I don't know, I got a bit confused after that one. These Joy-Cons also have an inbuilt gyroscope motion sensor and accelerometer for accurate motion gameplay, along with an NFC sensor and IR motion camera. It is also worth noting that the Switch will unfortunately, depending on your views, not be supporting dual screen functionality like the Wii U did, with Nintendo being quoted as saying the Switch is going to be a dedicated single screen experience. So there's the good stuff out of the way. Overall, quite impressive. Unfortunately, for every good thing in a new console, there has to be a bad thing somewhere, and I bring you 3 of the worst ones. I had trouble finding genuinely bad things, but these are, in my opinion. So first up, we have the price. Many people, when the Switch was officially announced, looked at what they were showing and estimated or hoped somewhere around the £250 mark, which is about $270. I personally think that for the amount of design and hardware manipulation involved in manufacturing the Switch, that the price point of £280 isn't all that unwarranted. But the PS4 and the Xbox One are currently costing £250, with the newest versions of the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, currently costing £250. This provides a pretty easy decision for anyone looking for another console who's seriously into their gaming, with the Xbox One S offering that higher resolution gameplay, better memory, smaller form factor, and the PS4 offering its exclusive lineup. For other reasons mentioned as well, the price quickly becomes a questionable issue. We'll get into that in a bit. Combining it with the prices of extra accessories such as spare Joy-Cons, bags, straps, the price will very quickly approach £400, maybe even £500 if you want the entire launch title lineup. Overall, I'd say it's a bit of a misstep. Maybe they should have included more of the accessories in the package. Maybe they should have released more of the games with the launch title, because they're not great. We'll get onto that in a minute. But a lot of potential customers may well be put off buying until later in the year, and this will quickly steamroll into lack of developer support, games that progressively drop in quality, and well, we all want the Switch to do well. We all have a soft spot in our heart for Nintendo. We just have to wait and see how it pans out. Number 2 is a £280 Zelda game, and by extension, the quality of launch titles. In perspective, both the Xbox One and the PS4 had a narrow list of launch titles, but the difference is that they were AAA titles launching with or very close to the release date of the console. With the Nintendo Switch, we're currently looking at a confirmed list of 5 games. You got Legend of Zelda, which we've already talked about, 1-2 Switch, Super Bomberman R, Skylanders Imaginators, and Just Dance 2017. This is an exhaustingly average lineup, with Zelda the only game that even comes close to being a system seller. 1-2 Switch is Nintendo keeping up its age-old tradition of producing a fun, party game-based game that essentially serves as tutorials for its motion controllers. Skylanders is Skylanders. We all expected the Skylanders launch. I can't say I'm excited about it. I don't think anyone is really excited about another Skylanders game, especially after they did Spyro as well. God damn them. Just Dance is fun, but it's not exactly going to capture your imagination or be good for extended sessions. And then you have Super Bomberman R. Now, Super Bomberman R is the wild card here. As a franchise, it can offer hours of competitive fun with friends and family. And the Switch version looks gorgeous as far as arcade style games go. It does have a full cooperative campaign, as well as all the standard PvP modes that can be played with people you know, and I assume online. And it genuinely does look like a really good game, good fun, so I do have high hopes for this one personally. Now, as 2017 does roll on, the Switch's game list gets better, with a confirmed third game in the Sun and Moon generation of Pokemon games called Pokemon Stars. This being the first time a Pokemon game has launched on a major home console built by Nintendo, which can only say good things about their hopes for the console. Also, you have the new Sonic game, you have the new Mario game, you have NBA 2K18 and FIFA showing the third-party sports games coming to the Switch. You have Mario Kart 8, which is great. You have Rime, the gorgeous indie game that I'm excited about. Splatoon 2, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Skyrim, Steep, and Minecraft. This list does have some great titles on it. Nintendo's major issue has always been how difficult it is to launch popular third-party games on its underpowered platforms, but they seem to have solved this on the Switch. When you also consider the mass popularity for the primitive but not so primitive building game that is Minecraft, things do look good for the Switch by the time we're all celebrating the arrival of 2018. Although I do have to question why on earth a 5-year-old game in Skyrim is not a launch title. It boggles the mind, but that's for another conversation. Number 3. This is my least favourite on this list in a paid online service. Coming as a complete shock to most people not following the Switch closely, Nintendo has announced the start of its paid online service. For years and years, loyal Microsoft and Sony fans have looked at Nintendo's free online service with a modicum of respect and jealousy for their apparently not so stalwart approach to online subscription services. Now, with the apparent intent of encouraging higher quality games on its newest device, Nintendo have decided to join the other consoles in making you pay to play online. Their way of softening the blow was receiving an NES or SNES game for free for a month. Now, this paid subscription service for their online doesn't start on release. It starts a few months after the 3rd of March release date for the Switch. Hopefully there'll be some more games to play at that point. And hopefully the price is lower than what Xbox Live and PS Plus charge, as their free monthly game service is vastly superior. There's also an elephant in the room that I'm sure you're already thinking of already if you've played a Nintendo console. Nintendo's home console online services have been notoriously terrible every single time. Unplayable lag was present in both the Wii and the Wii U, despite having years to sort out issues both prior to and post-launch of the consoles. Now, hopefully, with an actual revenue stream coming from these online paid services, they'll be able to maintain significantly better playing conditions, but if they don't, this is going to be a major failure for Nintendo. No doubt about it. I think that about wraps up my views on the 3 things that Nintendo's done right and the 3 it hasn't with the highly anticipated Switch. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you did. Thumbs up if you loved it. And let me know in the comments below, did I miss anything? Was there anything you would have put in? What do you think of the launch titles? What games are you looking forward to in the future? What games do you hope get a release? I'm personally hoping for Overwatch. I think Overwatch would be great on those tablets. I think that would be great fun. But otherwise, I'll be sure to see you in the next video. I've been Dodge Gaming, you've all been awesome, and I will see you next time. Peace!